Hello, this is Ryan Riccatelli with asnews.net, and today I have Gavin McClurg, who is one of the brainchilds behind the Odyssey, which is a around-the-world kiteboarding expedition, and he's up in, I believe, Seattle right now, and I've got him on the line, so I'm just going to have him introduce himself.
Thanks, Ryan. It's good to talk to you. It's good to be part of the podcast in the AS News and Kiteboarder magazine. The Odyssey is a concept we've kind of put together over the last few years. My company, Offshore Odyssey, has been running adventure charters kind of in the South Pacific and across the Far East and Micronesia the last few years. And in 2004, we brought out F1, one of the manufacturers in France, with Raphael Salas and Etienne Lotte and some of those guys. And we did a 10-day charter with them in Fiji, and the light bulb kind of went off. Out of that thing, there was a Stance DVD and some great magazine articles and that kind of thing. And we realized a couple of things. One, we needed a different kind of boat. We needed more space for everybody. And two, just the kind of the potential of kite surfing, that we could really focus in on kite surfing, and that this was something doable in places not just like Cabaret and Tarif and some of the better-known spots, but we could get people out into places that no one knows anything about. So that's really the expedition style of the whole concept, and that's what got us going on the Odyssey a couple years, and it's just now kind of coming to fruition.
Well, and I have to say, you have a dream job. Some of the places that you've probably seen and some of the places you're about to go, are going to just be incredible. And what is the itinerary of some of the destinations you're going to hit?
Well, we're going to start off. It's a 5-year deal, and so we basically run about 10 months out of the year, and the other 2 months are for maintenance and getting the boat to one place to another. But the general plan is to start in the Caribbean this November, and we'll spend about 6 months in the Caribbean, and then we'll transit the canal in kind of mid-May and get into the South Pacific just right when the Southeast trades kind of start kicking in the South Pacific, and spend a full season in the South Pacific, and then the next season probably a few more months in the South Pacific, and then get up into the Carolines and Yap and Palau, and then Philippines and Vietnam, Far East, and then kind of continually work west. The trades really are always blowing that way, and it makes sense when you're running a boat around the world to kind of always go west. So the general plan is to start with that, and then kind of see where we go and see what happens. But we'll spend at least another season in Micronesia, Far East, and then another year in the Indian Ocean, Seychelles and Madagascar, or Seychelles and the Maldives, and then eventually work up into the Red Sea, maybe get up into the Med in year 5, but we'll just kind of see how it goes. We want to keep things open, but our basic thing is we go where the winds blow.
Man, that's incredible. And, obviously you're going to be having, a team of people on board, and who's going to be joining you on this Odyssey?
Well, that was really the deal. In the last 7 years, we ran a charter operation, and but basically running charters, you take anybody, and but how we had it set up, we really were an adventure boat. So with diving and spearfishing and kite surfing, and we'll have all that on board with this deal as well. But what we aren't is a charter boat in this operation. The Odyssey is really about sharing the experience, and we want to be part of the fun. We don't want to be just crew. We are crew. We'll be running the boat. We'll have a professional chef. We're doing it in style, but we really want to be with people. When we set out to create the Odyssey, we set it out that we thought, when Jody and I put this together, we thought, okay, who do we want to be with? Who do we want to be spending time with? And we really want to be with people who are passionate about the sport, passionate about adventure, that are willing to take a little bit of risk and kind of get into the unknown. And so that's a real key element. If you visit our website, you'll see that it's quite exclusive, and that we're just looking for people that are just passionate. So we have a very long application process that just kind of weeds it out. And what we're looking for is just watermen and women, that people that really want to be out there. And and that's actually what's happened. We're getting people that are world-class triathletes. And we had a guy that last week that signed up that's world-famous paraglider. He's flown all over India and Nepal, and that's what we're looking for. Not just kite surfers, but people that are just passionate about adventure and discovery. And so that's what's going to make the success of the Odyssey is not the boat or not the itinerary or not what we're doing, but the people that we're sharing our time with.
And will you have any pros coming on the boat just to hang out and with everyone?
Well, actually just this Monday we got a call from Ian Hushel, the CEO of Best Kiteboarding, and we are really psyched to announce that Best is going to be our exclusive kitesurfing manufacturing sponsor. So we welcome Best on board, and absolutely the Best team, the international team, will be coming out at least once a year for a 15-day trip, and so we'll have them on board once a year to make a movie, documentary, whatever they want to do with it. It's their time, it's their boat. It's now really the Best Odyssey, and then whenever we have space available, cabins available now, Best is going to be sending out pro riders to basically be our guest experts on board. So this is just something that we're kind of over the top about. Imagine having Shannon and all the guys, and Kirsten Bowes can run an all-women's kite surfing clinic for the ladies, and it's just going to be fantastic. So we'll get them out as much as we possibly can.
Now, obviously, this is a huge undertaking, and you mentioned Offshore Odyssey, and how does that all work? Are they sponsoring you the boat, or how does that work?
Well, basically, the Best has come on board as kind of a major sponsor, and how that works is the boat. We'll still own the boat. We'll still be running it and determining the itinerary and that kind of thing. But they're really a partner in all of this. So we just wanted to really be working with a kite surfing company that we felt were really in a good position to they're making the best gear, and they're in a position to really take the sport forward. We really saw that a lot of people are talking about the real future of kite surfing is in snow kiting. And what we really felt like the future of kite surfing on water is this expeditionary base, and that's is getting into places that people don't know about, and just discovering and pioneering new locations. And that's what we really felt like Best can bring to the table as well. That they're interested in that. That's what they want to do. That's their vision as well. So for us to just be working with them is kind of a dream.
Yeah, they're a great company, and they definitely they put their money where their mouth is when it comes to supporting the sport. I know a lot of our listeners, we're down to getting like 14,000 downloads in a month, so this is going to go out to a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people right now are saying, how do I apply for this? How do I come and join on this expedition?
Well, the first place to start is get onto our website. You'll find out all about Best, the sponsorship, what it works and how it all kind of comes together. Take a look through that. It's not a small website. There's a lot of information available to you there, and kind of work through it and see how the concept is. It's basically, although I don't like the word so much, it's basically a timeshare. You're buying into a piece of the boat, and you're buying into a piece of the expedition. And the reason we did that was it's just because it's a big boat, it's a large boat, it's expensive to run. We're trying to make it available to people that are on a budget, that don't have super yacht kind of funds. We're trying to make it available to people like you and me, Ryan, that could just want to go on a great trip every year, not have to completely plan their travel every year. They've got this boat out there that a piece of it's theirs. They can go visit it, and they know that it's going to be run in a professional manner. And but it's all pretty much outlined on the website, and people can work through that if they're into it. There's a whole page where they can send in an application, and then I get on the horn personally, and we'll talk to them, and we see if it all works out.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are we talking here? How much money are we talking?
Well, it is put a little bit on the spot, but it's actually it's hard to answer that in this forum on the podcast. But what I can say, because that's all on the website as well. But what I can say is that if you went out on a trip and chartered a boat, for 10 days or 15 days every year on a boat in a different part of the world, it would cost way, way, way more than what we're putting it out for. So basically how it works is you buy a share in the boat, and then you would pay an annual fee to cover all the costs. And I'm hoping that people are going to be surprised. It's not as much as you think.
Well, and you're absolutely correct about chartering boats, and I've been a part of that experience before, which I have to say was hands down out of all the travel stories that I've done, and I've traveled to like 36 countries with kiteboarding. I'd have to say that the trip that we did in the British Virgin Islands with X-rated kiteboarding, where we chartered the trimaran and we had all these different boats. I mean, that is an experience. Now, take that trip and put it around the world into some of the places you're talking about. I mean, I can't even imagine how insane that trip's going to be.
Well, we really, we hope so, and I think it will be. What we really got the idea from as well is, after we did the trip with F1, I ran into Martin Daly and a lot of his guys that have been running surf charters on the outside of Sumatra and Indonesia for years and years, the Indies Trader Group. And those are the guys that put together the Quicksilver Crossing, and they ran that around for 6 years. And that's when we thought, okay, this has to be done with kite surfing. This is where kite surfing is going, and how do we do it? And that's how we came up with the Odyssey. And what we try to do is, like you said, with charters are an amazing way to go, but charter fleets are very limited. They can only operate in places that are quite safe. They have easy access to provisioning, and they have to be out of the cyclone seasons, in the cyclone parts of the year. And so that's why they're so much more expensive, is because they typically can only operate a very limited time of the year, and the rest of the time they're laid up, and they have maintenance. There's all kinds of those issues. But what we're doing is keeping a boat running year-round, so we can have a lot more operational days, which cuts our costs down. We get a lot more people involved, which cuts our costs down. Now we're bringing in sponsors like Best, which helps even more. So that's why we've been able to create something that's really, it's kind of a super yacht gig, but for a price that more of us can afford.
Well, that's really cool. And, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about you. I mean, you kiteboard, correct?
That's right.
And, obviously you've been kiting. You've kited probably all over the place. And, coming from your perspective, I mean, this must just be a dream job.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. It's just like we were talking about before we went live here. The jobs on the surface are sometimes, they're not what they are in reality, but I do have a dream job. I love it, Ryan. And, I mean, I love sailing. I really am, a water person. And the goal of this was to basically keep me on the water and keep us looking for new spots. I love meeting new people. I love the community that the boat creates. And, it is a dream job. And I'm thankful that we're here. I'm thankful that this is coming together. And, like I said, bringing Best on board on Monday is just, it brings so much more reality to it. I can't wait. And we're all just so excited to get started, to get back on the water. We just sold our other boat with Offshore Odysseys about a month and a half ago in Thailand. So this is the first time we've been on land in about 7 years. So and we're enjoying it. It's been great. We're going to be in Hood River all summer, meeting people there and honing our own personal skills and kite surfing before we take off again this fall. But I am a kiteboarder, and to get out into these new places is just a dream.
So, obviously you have the responsibility of captaining the Odyssey, around the world. And, I mean, it's fun and games when the weather's nice, but, I mean, what are you going to do when all of a sudden a big storm rolls in and you're cruising right through it?
Well, Ryan, the perception of sailing around the world is exactly that. And really, when I started out in '98, I'd done a lot of sailing around Seattle, and I'd gone around Vancouver Island, but my offshore skills were null. I'd never been out there, and that's what you really imagine. You think, oh my God, we're going to get out into the open ocean. It's just going to be hairy. And actually, I'm the kind of personality that I was looking forward to that. But the reality of sailing around the world in the trade winds, you avoid cyclones. You avoid cyclone season. You'd be an idiot to be, say, in the Caribbean this time of year, because you do then get into those kind of situations, and we just don't. We follow the trades, and we get out of places when the season is bad to be in them, and it's an aspect of risk, and you avoid them as much as possible. Certainly sailing and certainly kite surfing has some inherent risks, but the real, when I set out 7 years ago, I thought it would be those things. I thought it'd be weather, and I thought it'd be, I didn't have any maintenance. I didn't know how to take care of an engine, all those kind of things. I thought, we're going to get out, and what happens if the mast comes down, or what happens if all these crazy things happen? And really, that's all the tame stuff. That's all the easy stuff. The really hard part is, even though this is a big boat, it's a 60-foot catamaran, 5 cabins, and it's beautiful. Even though it's a big boat, you're still in a small space with people for a long period of time. And so the key, the hardest thing is the group dynamic, and that's the key of the Odyssey. We're being so careful about who comes into the deal. So we're out there, and we're not quipping about who's doing the dishes. We're quipping about what time to get up in the morning and go rip. And you know, it's really that group dynamic. You know, for years I worked for Outward Bound, and that's you know, it's not where you are. It's not climbing the mountain. It's not getting down the river. It's who you're dealing with, and that's what we're hoping we're creating. It's really the lifestyle and the culture that we're trying to kind of create here.
Well, I'm glad to see somebody doing what you're doing, because this is very maverick in, you know, your efforts, and I really look forward to touching base with you throughout your trip, and obviously just getting more feedback. If you're in a position to where you can call in, please do, because I would love to get, you know, a live report from the Odyssey. I think that would just be incredible. So, you know, obviously I'm going to give you a chance to throw some shouts out to your sponsors and tell everyone where they can learn more about this. So why don't you do that?
Fantastic, Ryan, and I'll do you better than that. We'll send you some updates, and we'll get you out on the boat. You and Marina have been so fantastic in working with us. We love working with the Kiteboarder, and I hope this is a start of a very long relationship. I also hope this is the start of a very long relationship with our sponsors. Like I said, we just signed Best on Monday. Thanks so much we send so much thanks out to Ian Hushel at Best, and believing in this and having the vision that we do and where this is going. We're just psyched to be working with them. And also the kite launcher, we're going to be taking on the kite launcher, because in so many places we go, you don't have the long, pearly white sand beach that you imagine that you have out in the South Pacific, but you've got the winds, you've got the perfect conditions, you've got the waves, and we need things like the kite launcher so we can just launch right off the boat. That was something we ran into in the last few years that becomes quite difficult, especially for beginners. So we're happy to have them on board. And then also C-Specs. We're going to be kind of a wandering distributor for C-Specs. We're psyched to have them on, and hopefully this is a way for us to get out and get some more sponsors. We've been in contact with Red Bull and Nissan, and we'll hopefully get some other big names in there soon.
Well, great, man. And everyone out there, you know, hey, if you want to contribute to the cause, definitely get in touch with Gavin. He's a really cool guy. And, yeah, we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks a lot, Gavin.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Love talking to you as well. And, yeah, everybody, we'll see you on the water.
All right, man. Hello, this is Ryan Riccatelli with ASNews.net, and today I have Wild Bill, otherwise known as Bill Parker, out of St. Petersburg, Florida. He's like a new guy on the scene that's just tearing it up. He got the best trick at the Velocity Games, so I'm just going to give him a chance to introduce himself. What's going on, Bill?
Just sitting here in St. Petersburg, fresh back in my hometown, enjoying the weather. We had a Hurricane Alberto, or Tropical Storm Alberto, come through, I should say, and just been eating the wind on that up, man. Loving it.
So, you know, we just before this interview, we were talking a little bit about the hurricane, or the tropical storm, and why don't you tell us a little bit about Alberto and what went down on the west coast of Florida?
Basically, it worked out pretty good. I mean, not too much damage going on. First storm of the season, and, you know, we got some good winds that we usually don't get. I mean, it worked out pretty good for us. Wind was all different directions. We got to use all our different riding spots here in St. Pete. You can ride pretty much any wind direction, and, you know, 30 to 40 every day, barely working the kite, flying up wind, big airs. When hurricane season comes, that's how it is over here.
Well, you talked a little bit about going out and sessioning the other day, and talk a little bit about that and the wind and what kites you were using.
Well, you know, it started off like it always is, pretty light, and then it builds pretty fast. You know, overnight it could be, the next day it could be 30 to 40, and, you know, when it gets up to about that much wind, it gets a little sketchy. So, I mean, we kind of take precautions, and, I mean, with the availability of the way the kite designs are now, you can push the limits, but you really got to be careful, because these limits are being pushed to where people are getting hurt. So just kind of take precautions when you're out in these situations, and if you're going to push the limits, make sure you got a good group of people there with you.
So you were out on a 9, and you said it was blowing like almost 50 at times?
Yeah, I mean, it was just out of control. It was really powerful winds. At that point, you know, with these kites, they're so jerky because they have so much depower, and then when you pull in on the bar, there's so much more power that you get out in the winds like that, it's pretty dangerous unless you really are in control, and you're never in control with nature.
Well, you know, I've seen you ride, and you are a very explosive rider. You do a lot of handle passes. You do a lot of like unhooked, kite loop, kite rotation type stuff. And, obviously you going out in that type of wind, I mean, how big were some of the jumps you're getting?
Oh, I'm talking, you're going huge. And when you send, you don't even have to get any speed or really steer the kite fast. I mean, the kite's pretty much lifting you out of the water the whole time. You're going 30, 40 feet every jump easy, and then when you do get good airs, you're getting 50, 60 feet in the air and floating for football fields. And when you get out in that much wind and you go that high, you come down so fast, it's just pretty hard to even deal with the landing and be in control and have a good time out there. So we were out for a little while, for about an hour or so on one of the most windiest days, and it was just too much. We had to wait for the next day, and it kicked down to about 30, and that's when we were out on our nines, really in control, having fun.
Well, you're an up-and-coming pro, and you definitely made a name for yourself on a couple of the recent events, and why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I got into kiteboarding, man, just to be out there in the water and have this freedom of the sport that the sport allows you to have, and, you don't have to keep putting money into it. So, I mean, when I got into it, I was just really pumped on the sport and how it was just so easy for anybody to get into and have the most fun you could possibly have in a sport. And that drove me to want to go places and find new places because, you need wind to kite. And the more places you go, the more chances you're going to get and opportunities you're going to get to ride and also meet new people. So when I got into it, I wanted to get around and meet people too, and that's what got me on the competition scene, because when you go somewhere, in my eyes, I feel that you're going to have a better time if you go when there's something going on and you have people there that are in the same sport as you or like the same aspects of life or what you're doing at the same time, because then you can meet them people and they can steer you in places to go in the area you're at or whatever, So competition is really good for me, and being, new in the sport and on the competition level, I'm just having fun with it, man, trying to get out there and go as many places as I can and get my name out there.
Well, tell us a little bit about what happened at the PKRA event for you and Coach A.
A lot of learning. Every competition's different. Some competitions want, powered style riding where it's really low and fast and all wakeboarding drive tricks, and they want you to push it past wakeboarding, make it bigger and better. And then some competitions want you to go big and the big board offs and the handle passes and a mix of everything. And then you got the border crosses, which that's I think those are one of the funnest things because it allows everybody to be a part of this event and have tons of fun, and it gives the opportunity for anybody to win because one chop or one mistake and the next guy's passing you by. I mean, when I went to PKRA, it taught me, I need to focus more on what the judges want at these events, and that'll teach me what I need to do to win. So just advice for anybody out there who's wanting to compete and go to these events and try to win. Ask the judges what they want to see, and that'll really give you a good idea of what to give them.
Yeah, and what did you finish in that event in Coach A?
I got third in the kicker sliders, and in freestyle, for the qualifiers, I was working my way through it, and then this one kid, Madison, Van Herrick, he was tearing it up, man. He got out there against me, and it was me and him one-on-one, and he just threw a few more powered moves than me, and it kind of bumped me out of the freestyle qualifiers. So I just put my mind towards doing really good in the sliders and kickers, and I got third.
Well, you came here to Texas, and we got some good wind when you were here for the Nissan Velocity Games, and you ended up taking the best trick discipline. And tell us a little bit about what you did to win that.
Basically, just rode how I like to ride. Really powered, really fast, go big, and throw technical handle passes. Keep it low and go technical. Every which way you can do a trick. Try it. Have all the freedom you can with the sport. Nobody telling you what to do, and that's what I did in my mind. I always try to invent different stuff and work on the stuff that everybody else is working on, so I can have a wide variety of tricks. And when I went out there, I got in my zone and just started throwing down, having fun.
Well, and you're the rider right now who is penetrating that next tier of being a professional rider. You're getting a name for yourself. I've been talking to some people in the industry, and every time I mention your name, it's just like, oh man, I hear that kid's really good. And you know, what's that like, going from, you know, where this is just a hobby to now it's like obviously you're going after contests and, you know, you're becoming a professional kiteboarder.
I'm just trying to have fun while I can, man. You know, the sport doesn't wait for nobody, so if you want to get in and get it, you better hurry up. These young kids are getting out here and they're taking the spotlight. So if you've got the talent and the ability and the time and you love the sport, you know, have fun with it and go out and try to win something. You know, you can get all kinds of stuff if you just put your mind to it and you do it at kiteboarding. You know, it makes it either a little cheaper on you with your gear if you hook up and, you know, you're pushing yourself, or if you get a contract with a company. You know, right now it's really hard in the sport because there's just so many up and coming names. So you really got to get in there and throw down and push the sport big time, you know.
Well, and being a professional kiteboarder, it's not only just being a pro, but you're also, I mean, a lot of the recent pros that are, you know, the newer pros in the sport, they're more ambassadors of the sport. Like they kind of started out just like either doing lessons or, you know, hanging out at a shop, and it's really cool to see guys like yourself getting into the sport, because I've seen you on the beach and you interacting with people, and now all of a sudden you have all this new responsibility and you're a pro rider and you're getting the recognition for it. Do you feel any pressure, or like what's your take on that?
I mean, there's always pressure from the people in your hometown for you to do good, if that's the pressure you're talking about. But I mean, there's always different pressures in anything, and with kiteboarding, you know, I feel like I really want to represent the area that I'm in and kind of get a lot of attention over here and get people to come here, and also want to just kind of be out there and represent my own face and my own name on a really safe and good level to where it looks, you know, it looks professional and people want me around, you know. So I like to interact with everybody that I'm around. I like to give everybody help, and, you know, being, you know, the type of rider that I am, where I always push myself. I'm always trying to push people around me. You know, I'm always feeling a little pressure, but I like the pressure. You know, that's what makes you better. Without pressure, you know, you can't push on. You can't learn your faults or your strengths.
To hear that feedback from you, I know there's a lot of younger listeners who really want to follow the dream of becoming a professional kiteboarder, and that's why I ask these questions, because, you know, like, what are some of the tips that you can give somebody to, you know, help pursue their dream? I mean, what are some of the things that helped you get to where you're at?
Take advantage of your resources, which are your family and your friends, and have them around and keep them happy, you know, because they're going to help you, and that's what you need. It's all about, it's not just about what you know, it's about who you know. And the more people you know and the more friends you have, or the more people you befriend, then that's, you know, they're going to help get your name built up. And you really need to work on it yourself too. You know, take as many photos as you can. Don't hesitate to send them to somebody. You know, video footage. If you can make any write-ups or interviews that you can send out to magazines, or anybody you know about an event you went to, or, you know, a fun day you had at this local spot that nobody ever heard of. You know, anytime you do anything like that, that gives the opportunity for you to get recognized, and people around you and your friends and your family is like, that's one of the most number one important things in life, is having them there and helping, you know, because it's going to push you really far.
Well, and most importantly, you got to back it up with good riding, and that's
exactly.
I mean, you've definitely put your time in. And let's switch gears and talk a little bit about your gear and what you're riding. What kites are you on, and tell us a little bit about the different kites that you do use.
Right now, I'm riding for Flexifoil, and pretty much been on their kites for the past 3 years. Loving their kites. Really strong, really durable. My stuff lasts for a good amount of time, long time. You know, and I have everybody around me ride my stuff, just so they can all know what it's about. You know, I believe in their gear a lot. It's really good, and I enjoy riding their kites. You know, I'm riding the Fusions. I rode that in Coche. They perform excellent. You can't ask for much better equipment. Right now, I just got a new set of the Ions. I'm testing them out. As far as speed and upwind ability, they are fast. They're one of the sickest kites I've rode. If you want to ride really fast and fly upwind and hold your ground, Ions and these new flat bow kites are starting to get sick. For big air and freestyle, you know, I'm still liking the fifth line sea kite type feel. It's got that pocket that kind of keeps you up, and it doesn't want to stall too much, you know, when you get in the air. I'm kind of still getting used to them, you know, but that's what I'm trying to push right I'm still trying to get my everything from the sea kites that I do onto the bow kites, and it's a different feel. So you got to kind of get used to it, and that's probably what I'm going to be riding as much as I can at these new ions. You know, I really like the feel of them, and I want to get used to the next step in kiteboarding, which is new kite designs and being able to perform on these kites.
Well, and what do you do to train? I mean, obviously, that's a huge part of your day is training and getting better on these tricks. And you just said, I'm trying to get my moves from my sea kite to the flat kite. Like, what goes on in that? I mean, what is the true difference, and what do you do in your training regiment to, get those moves down?
Well, where I'm stationed in St. Pete at my house, I basically have a training center that I kind of created myself that isn't nothing fancy. It's all like pretty much thrown together by me. But I got everybody has the hanging handle. Everybody knows about the hanging handle, and what that's good for is building upper body strength to lift you up to the bar to do your handle passes, moves, board pass, whatever you want to do. You need to have the strength, and that's what the hanging bar does. Now I also have a trampoline, and on the trampoline I have a bar that goes at a 45-degree angle out off of the trampoline to a pole that's mounted in the ground attached to a reinforcement to keep it stiff, and then that kind of keeps the kite it kind of simulates the kite riding at a 45, and it's all wake style. So I practice on the trampoline, and that teaches me muscle memory, how to maneuver my body. It just gives you that extra little bit that you need to be able to do, say, the slim or the KGB or whatever. You can really dial it in there without having to eat the water every single time. So then once you get it dialed in there, you want to take it out to the water. So you get on these sea kites or whatever kite you've got, and you go out there and you practice your tricks. Now the difference is with these new kites and the sea kites is trimming. If you don't have it trimmed properly, the kite's not going to perform at all. So I mean, each trick could be a little different. L3, you might want to trim the kite down a little more so it flies a little faster and has less drag than if you want to do like KGB, which you would want more wake style with a good pocket in the kite and just really hard pull. So I mean, you really got to understand the trimming, and you got to have your setups to build your strength in your body. And I also swim in my pool as much as I can, to keep me in shape and keep me strong.
Those of us who know you and who've seen you, I mean, you are like a pit bull. I mean, you're just freaking... I can see it in your eyes before you go ride, man. You've got like as they said in the old Rocky movies, the eye of the tiger, man. And it's really cool talking to you because I think we're going to just see a lot more from you in the next year. I know that you're getting a lot more media attention, and I just think it's great. And, I want to give you a chance to just throw some shouts out to your sponsors.
Yeah, I'd like to give a special thanks to FlexiFoil for hooking me up with all this good gear, keeping me on top of my game with the gear, because without the gear, you're not going to be able to perform like the next guy. So I really want to thank FlexiFoil for being there and hooking me up with anything and everything I need and giving me information to get to these competitions and what to go to. Water Sports West for basically getting me started in this sport. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be hooked up with kites or anything. They really took the time with me. That's the shop that I hung out with all the time when I first got into the sport, watching videos and just hanging. My buddy Antonio at Kite Billboards, helps me get to different events. Any information I need, he hooks me up with. And anybody in the area that I ride with, you push me and you make me better. So special thanks to y'all, man. I love riding with everybody from St. Pete and everybody else that I meet.
Well, and where can our listeners find more about you on the internet, or do you have a website or anything like that?
I got a website, BillyParkerKiteboarding.com. I have an email contact on there. I'm currently building the website, so hopefully in the next couple months I can have a bunch of different shots on there and video clips and some feedback from me from different events. But KiteFlix has videos. There's just different places you can Google the name and see videos. Right now we're trying to work on a couple videos that we just took during Hurricane Alberta, or Tropical Storm Alberta, so those should be out soon. And definitely as competition's coming up, that's where I'll be. I like riding against people and just pushing ourselves, and then it makes a good show for the people.
Well, Billy, I'm going to say you definitely are a guy that everyone should remember. Wild Man Bill. Billy Parker, you're going to see this kid. He's going to be at the top. So thanks for coming on to the show today, and we'll definitely be getting you back on here soon.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. And anytime you want me on an interview or podcast, you just let me know and I'm here.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Take it easy.